Greetings. My name is Luis Molina, and I'm the host of the Life Puro podcast. Today, I speak to Jonathan Herring, who is our account manager for Habana Port, and he is with Forged Cigars. Forged carries such brands like Partagas and Alec Bradley, as you can see here. And today, we've smoked some of their cigars. So feel free to light up one of their cigars and join us. To our spot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. You guys killed it. It's really neat.
No, we appreciate you coming in today. So, well, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, what are we going to be smoking?
I sling cigars all around South Texas and Louisiana. Okay. So I work for Forged Cigar Company. So it's a little confusing. Our parent company is like Scandinavian Tobacco Group, and then under that you have General and you have Forged. And on the Forged side, we have some great brands: La Gloria Cubana, Partagas, Bolivar, El Rey del Mundo, Chillin' Moose. We have acquired Alec Bradley now, and we also have Room 101. And then we have a brand that's really close to my heart, Diesel, that we're talking about today.
Yeah. So what you got here today? Because I'm ready to light this up.
Yeah, so it's fantastic. When we got this, I immediately smoked one and then called Justin Andrews, who helped blend this with AJ Fernandez, and told him he knocked it out of the park. So it's the Diesel Vintage. It actually comes out in July. It'll be a new product for us. 5 different sizes, full-bodied, powerhouse blend, but with a lot of complexity and a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah. No, I love the packaging. So
yeah, I think they did a great job with that. Justin is, in my mind, one of the best designers out there. Diesel has done such cool stuff, and he always makes it different and makes it stand out. So I think he did a really great job with it.
Yeah, so Justin Andrews, he's basically the brand ambassador for for Diesel.
He's the brand manager for Diesel. He does all our contract manufacturing as well at STG. So he's a man of many hats. But basically, Diesel, started in 2009 with AJ Fernandez, and he was making cigars for CI. And he wanted to, do something a little different, do something bold, but do something that was very AJ. And the brand really took off as an online brand, and it did so well. We decided, well, let's make a brick and mortar side of it that's just for our retail stores. And so we came out with Diesel Grind, we came out with Diesel Whiskey Row, the Whiskey Row Sherry Cast, and the Diesel Esteli Puro. So those are kind of our main lines. And then we've done a lot of limited editions and a lot of cool new stuff with that. So I think the brand's got a lot of legs. People are enjoying it, and people have come over from being the online smokers of it to smoking these retail brands that are really great.
Yeah, as a brick and mortar, I was so glad that finally Diesel, offered a brick and mortar line. I think the first one we carried was the cat. I guess that whiskey row.
Yeah, the Diesel Whiskey Row.
Yeah, and that's still very popular. And the sherry cask.
Both 90+ rated Cigar Aficionado, which is really cool for a brand like Diesel that was always thought of as kind of this online brand. They were able to come in with the Whiskey Row and just blow it out of the water. I mean, for that first year, you could hardly get them. They were back ordered constantly. We were making as many as we could sell. So
yeah,
it was really fun. And that brand has continued to just do really well.
So this one you're lighting up, I'm cutting it, about to light it up, called the Diesel Vintage. What are some of the notes that I can expect, or other selling points?
So I'm terrible when it comes to flavor notes and things like that. For me, I pick up a lot of dark cocoa, some natural of that, natural Maduro sweetness, but it's still full flavored and full bodied. So it's just you can really taste the tobaccos in it. You can really taste that Mexican San Andreas wrapper on it. It's just got a lot of flavor on it. And the thing with AJ is he loves bold and he loves powerful, and then Justin really loves complexity, and he's more of a medium complexity guy, and that's what he always wants. So the two of them together make some really cool cigars, I think.
Yeah. Oh, some of the collaborations they've come up with over the years are just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But no, I love the packaging of this and the look. Yeah. On first light, it's really flavorful. Spice. There's a little spice to it.
A little bit of spice,
but not overbearing.
No. And we're doing some really cool sizes. I have it here.
Yeah, this one you're showing, they call it the 500. It's what it says 500/Maduro.
Yeah, so they're each going to be a numbered series, each different size. So what we're smoking is the 556 Robusto Gordo, There's going to be like a 4.5 by 60, a 6 by 52, a 7 3/4 by 49, and then a little 6 by 46. So it'll kind of have a flavor, a range for everyone and whatever size they like. And I'm sure they'll smoke very differently. This is the first one I've had. Looking forward to smoking through the different sizes and trying them.
Okay. I like, you mentioned there's one that's 7 3/4 by 49.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, man. See, I like the Churchill format or longer.
Right. So double.
So you really
Corona.
don't see, you don't even see it like that dimension on the market too often.
Yeah, Justin does not like to do things that everyone else does. So, we do some really cool stuff with it. It's to go through the blend a little bit, just San Andreas, Habano Esteli binder, and Habano Jalapa filler. So made by AJ in Nicaragua.
Very nice. What's the MSRP in a non-excise tax state?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at anywhere from $7.80 up to $9.30.
Whoa.
Depending on the sizes. So all under $10.
Very fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good deal. I could see this. I would say it's worth like 12 to 15 price point.
Absolutely.
On how it's smoking.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure there'll be some people selling it for that. So, I love the box too, man. I think he did a really cool job with it.
Yeah.
It's got a great presentation. So they're all 20 count boxes, except the little 646 is a 10 count box. But
okay. The 646.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. So the vintage series. So this is an ongoing, or is it just a one and done, or an annual release?
This is an everyday, man. And I think this could be like that flagship cigar for Diesel in my mind, because
That's cool.
The Whiskey Row and the Whiskey Row Sherry Cast both have that, the whiskey, the binder that's aged in the whiskey barrels, and so it's a little specific. There's certain niche of smokers that are not going to smoke that because it says whiskey on it and they think it's a flavored whatever, even though it's not. But I think this cigar could be like the kind of future of Diesel, the one that's on every shelf and really holds it up.
Yeah. No, I think everything about it is awesome. Packaging, the wrapper looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The profile is really nice. I mean,
excited.
It's definitely a little bit fuller. I'd say like a medium plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely has like more of those dark notes, a little spice, not overbearing. So no, I think it's a home run, and especially with that price point. People do well with these.
I mean, it's nice when you're able to source a lot of the tobacco yourself, and we have these relationships with AJ that we've had for so long. We're able to keep the prices down on almost everything we do. I mean, we have a lot of new stuff coming out for the trade show that's in July. For those of you that don't know, the cigar trade show's in July, where a lot of new product comes out, and I'm so happy and proud to see that like almost everything we're doing is under $10. We have cigars from $5 and $6 up to $10, and we want to keep it affordable for people.
Yeah,
I think it's a huge thing.
When you guys released the Diesel Sunday gravies, I mean, you guys knocked it out the park too, especially with the price point.
Yeah, that was such a cool project. So we did this thing called Sunday Gravy, and I think we did 6 different versions of it. And basically every quarter, a new blend would come out from AJ. And the MSRP on them were $5 each. And so it was a fantastic buy. And you got a new blend every quarter. Everybody had their favorite blends that they really liked.
Yeah.
And it was really neat. We had a big gravy boat for it to sit in, like it was a whole like a big pot.
Yeah, like a huge cooking pot.
Yeah. So that's again Justin just being super creative and working with our marketing team, who's like the best in the business in my opinion, and do a really good job.
So you ready for the trade show?
No. I just spent 2 days in New Orleans, so no. I'm thinking of going to Vegas is rough.
Yeah.
No, but I'll enjoy it. Like it's so good for me because I've covered all over the country. From North Florida to Virginia to Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, down to Texas. So
you've covered all those territories?
Yeah, I've covered all those territories. So it's like a big family reunion for me. Like I get to see all these customers of mine and friends of mine in the business that I haven't gotten to see in a long time. And then we get to put the work in, and helps your sales numbers, helps, get stuff in stores. We get to showcase all our stuff in one location. So we'll have, Alec Bradley, Room 101, and all the Forged cigar lines represented at the show this year. Yeah,
that'll be interesting to see in light of this past year. The big news in the industry was the acquisition of Alec Bradley by Forged.
Yeah, it's super exciting, man. I'm still, really learning the brand, and gotten to hang out with Alec and Bradley from Alec Bradley, the two sons. Alan Rubin came to our meetings in Fort Lauderdale and just fantastic guys, and their passion is still there. Like for this brand, they want to see it succeed. They're going to help us every way they can. Alec and Bradley are staying on with the brand, so they're gonna be great assets for us to have. And it was really cool going down there and kind of learning how they did things. They built a very successful brand.
Yeah, because I know in the last few years before the purchase, both Alec and Bradley, the sons, they were becoming more involved with the company, making their own blends, releasing their own lines, like the Kintsugi, I think.
Yeah,
Was
Kintsugi.
Magic Toast another one of theirs?
Yeah, I don't think Magic Toast was Alec and Bradley, but I'm not 100% sure. So they did like a little subset inside the company called Alec and Bradley.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so it was the ones that the sons were coming up with, and those are some of the most popular blends right now. I mean, they did a really good job. The one that's killing it for them now is new. It's not an Alec and Bradley, but it's the double broadleaf.
That to me shocked.
Yeah,
Like I love that blend.
yeah. And
To me, it really, and I can't remember what size I smoked in. I want to say it was the Robusto format. It really had this note of like dark chocolate.
yeah,
You know, you hear that same term thrown
Right.
around, but like this one really did have that nuance to it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But the other size, it didn't smoke like that. It was still good, but I think it was a Robusto. I'll have to
Yeah.
revisit it. But it was just fantastic.
yeah. You're gonna have to get Alec and Bradley on here one day when you can do some remote stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Absolutely. Well, no, and you know, for us, it'd be nice to have more of the interviews in studio, but we're setting ourselves up to go out in the field,
Sure.
maybe visit factories or warehouses. So if a lot
would
of
be
these
cool.
principals can't make it here, we get it.
Yeah.
We're willing to travel to them.
No, that would be really cool. And you guys have put the money in, put the resources in, and you've done a really good job. And I think it's going to be very successful. So I look
Yeah.
forward to listening to it. I heard you just dropped your last couple episodes, and so I'll be checking those out.
Yeah.
And
No, give me your thoughts. you know?
yeah, I'll be very critical.
Yeah.
and rude.
Well, so you travel a lot, obviously, for your job. I imagine a lot of the sales reps, the cigar guys, they're listening to a lot of podcasts in the car, especially in our territory. And I know it's maybe different in the Northeast where a lot of these account managers don't have to travel far from shop to shop. But here in our part of the region, we're so like spread out thin. So I guess you guys are doing a lot of driving.
Oh yeah, we have the I-10 corridor, man. That's
Yeah.
like a lot of us reps here. We basically go from San Antonio, Austin, through Houston, all the way through Louisiana.
Yeah.
Excuse
And that's
me.
where you're based in Texas, right?
Yeah, based outside of Houston, yeah. And so it's kind of perfect for my territory right in the middle.
Yeah. So yeah, what I've seen, at least for us being in Louisiana, we either tend to get, I guess, the way that a lot of the cigar companies carve out territories in this country. We either get reps that are Texas, Louisiana, or Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. So we get people from as far east as like Georgia that will cover us, or as far west as like I think New Mexico or no, maybe not Arizona, but definitely Texas.
Yeah, yeah. Texas is such a huge state, and it's kind of divided North Texas, South Texas, usually among reps, but some do the crossover there and into
okay.
Louisiana. But yeah, you're right. So I do so much road time. I mean, I'm doing, I don't know, 8,000 to 10,000 miles a month probably.
Driving?
Yeah, so it's a lot of driving, and what I'm trying, I go between like Audible and podcasts. Those are so I'll do Audible and do audiobooks for 3 weeks, and then I'll get tired of that and go back to podcasts. But yeah, I consume a lot of media on the road.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite podcasts?
I listen to a lot of Rogan when he has interesting people on that I want to hear, because I do love like the long form podcasts where you get to really kind of know people.
Yeah.
And when I want some comedy, I like Theo Vaughn, Tim Dillon. They're funny. I listen to them. I've been doing this new one with David Spade and Dana Carvey.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a podcast that's really about the history of SNL, and a lot of old guests from SNL on there. And Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they have a great podcast where they go through and watch like each show and talk about the making of it, the writing of it, how it happened. It's the three main characters,
Okay.
so it's really cool. So a lot of different podcasts.
Yeah. So how much eating do you do when you get to Louisiana?
Oh, it's ridiculous. I think I was with some other reps last night, and I think we did 3 different meals from about 5 o'clock to about midnight. So, it was way too much. But
Yeah.
the food is incredible. The people are incredible. Like, I always look forward to coming out here. And I'm from Georgia, and I think Louisiana has more similarities to me and the people in Georgia than really Texas. Texas is its own thing. Great folks as well. But I always feel at home here. I enjoy it. Like, my favorite time is like getting to New Orleans and then leaving New Orleans, because my body tells me it's time to leave.
She can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's I love doing this Louisiana trip. So I'm here pretty much every month and really enjoy it.
And how long have you been with Forge now? I mean, you were with STG, but I mean, with the general side.
Yeah.
First?
So I was with the general side for somewhere around 4.5 years, doing Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. And my wife is from Texas originally, so she wanted us to move down here. And then the Forge thing happened, so it all worked out that I was able to do that. And so I've been there. I think we're about 2.5 years in as a company. So
yeah. I know there were a lot of raised eyebrows at first when they made that announcement of the split.
It's never been done.
Yeah, but I mean, I could understand like from the beginning why what the motivation was. And I think it's done well so far for STG, huh?
It's been amazing. So, like, it was a bold move. Gene Richter, our president of the company, like, this is something he wanted to do for a long time. And we just had to get big enough, and we acquire companies. We're a publicly traded company, so we acquire cigar companies, and one of the only ways to be able to continue to acquire was to knock down some of the portfolio. And, when I was a general rep, you walk in, you got 20 pages of products. It's a lot to go through. Yeah. And so now with the Forged and General split, it's allowed us to have fewer brands that we could really focus on. And some of these brands just haven't got the attention, that they deserved, with Partagas and La Gloria. And we had Macanudo in that portfolio, and Cohiba and CAO. So there was a lot of big brands all in one portfolio. And now we've been able to give attention to them. And what that's done is just created thousands of new SKUs on the shelf of these brands that people didn't have. And so, it's two separate companies. We operate a little bit differently and do things a little bit differently, but we're all just like under the same family. But yeah, I think it's been a home run. I mean, I don't know. It's above my pay grade to know, but it seems to me that it's been a home run.
Well, yeah, I mean, just from a retailer standpoint, I think it's very effective. And pretty much why, like what you said, you had such a huge portfolio before, just kind of dividing it, among multiple reps to kind of help push the sales of each, give the focus that every brand deserves. Like, I'm excited that you guys are featuring El Rey del Mundo again, which we used to have to buy through Santa Clara, and we had to open up an account for that, but then we dropped it. So when you guys picked it up, I was like, oh man, because that's one of my personal all-time favorite just brands, right?
Yeah, and they make one of my favorite cigars. The El Rey Rectangulare Natural is just like one of my go-tos. And all of us reps, we smoke that all the time. And you're talking about a $6-7 cigar.
Yeah, that's really very fairly priced.
Great price point, little box press, and it smokes great. But El Rey is such a cool brand. We got something new coming with them in the next month or two as well.
Cool.
So yeah, we got a lot of cool, exciting new stuff. So Habana Port's a good spot to check it out.
Yeah, we're definitely suckers for bringing in like anything new. Like, yeah, we'll take it. But I mean, you get it, because we hear the same question from end consumers, like, oh, what's new? And but we try to at least give a lot of these new releases, a fair shake.
Yeah, and that's all we can ask as reps is you give it a try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll find something else that works. But retailers that are willing to do that make our job a lot easier and make our lives a lot easier, and that we're able to get that distribution out there. And if it's a good product, if the price is right, it's going to sell. And if not, we're going to use that as a learning experience to figure out, hey, what do we need to do differently next time? But the only way we can actually tell is if we get it in stores and see how it does.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that time of year, July in the summer, when we see all the new releases. So we'll definitely be bringing a lot of these in. So we're excited. You mentioned Partagas, too. That was another brand that, to me, was getting kind of, not stale, but was getting kind of forgotten, which always dismayed me, because to me, like, Partagas is one of those legacy brands.
Absolutely.
An old Cuban brand originally, and now STG owned. It's good to see the focus, like the refocus on some of these legacy brands.
Yeah. I was talking to your father about that today. It's funny. I was at his shop, and we were talking about some of the old guys in the industry, and Benji Menendez came up, who I got to meet, who worked with Partagas very closely. And, some of the guys that came over from Cuba were still working with STG on Partagas, which was really cool. That brand is like near and dear to my heart. I think a lot of it. We had a new release a couple years ago, Partagas Cortado, which was the first ever Partagas made outside of the Dominican. It was made in Nicaragua at our Nicaraguan factory.
The Cortado?
Yes, and
Okay.
yeah, and so it's where we make CAO, do a lot of our brands, and that cigar just turned out really well. It sold great, and it really provided a lift to the brand. So, Partagas Black is our number one guy there.
Still?
Yeah, and it kills it. And then Partagas Cortado's done really well. We have a new Partagas coming out in the next month or so as well. And I think it's going to be a great addition. It fills a need there. But yeah, Partagas is such a legendary brand, and we've been able to do some really cool things with it, with some limited editions. We made a Partagas at Titan de Bronze this year in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
So for cigar nerds, that's one of those factories that if it comes out of there, everyone wants to try it.
Yeah.
And
You had a small factory out of Miami, right?
oh yeah, so it's a tiny factory. It's actually one street down from where the original La Gloria factory was in Miami.
Okay.
So yeah, but they do a great job, and it's just a small little mom and pop boutique factory that makes great cigars. So the Partagas de Bronce, they still have some at Habana Port. So if you get a chance to try it out, it's a special cigar to me.
Yeah, that to me had like like what I call a velvety, kind of almost like buttery, almost caramelly profile. I will say though, I would recommend people buying them and holding on to them because I think they will smoke better with time. Even though they're great off the truck
Sure.
now, but I actually think that'll really improve.
Yeah.
The one I really love from them is and I know it's not in your portfolio, but it's the Cohiba Serie M from
Sure.
your sister company at General.
Yeah, that
That
cigar's
Serie
been
M
huge.
is incredible.
Yeah, that cigar's been huge. It did really, really well. I know every time it comes out, they sell out of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's done well. So, from what I was told, like a big part of them working with us at Titan de Bronze was from the beginning, they said, we want to do this, but the main thing we want to do is a Partagas. Because they love that brand as well, and they have so many like family ties and everything with that, and so they wanted to do a Partagas. We did that, and I think it turned out so well. And the Cohiba M series has just been a killer as well. Basically, to me, anything that factory touches, they do some really special stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know how much insight you have into this, but when I smoke the Cohiba Serie M, to me it tastes like like almost like old school Cuban profile, right? To me, it's kind of weird to say, but almost has like a combination of like almond, cream, coffee, but definitely more of that almondy, like almost
Sure.
marzipan kind of profile. And that's like how the old Cohibas used to smoke. Do you think that was their intention to kind of recreate that, or because I know a lot of the rollers there are Cuban,
Sure.
right? So, like you said, I guess a lot of them you have family that were in the industry in Cuba.
I'm sure it was probably part of it. I mean, I know Justin Andrews, again, go back to him. He was heavily involved with that Cohiba M project as well. So he does, anytime we're working with other factories, he's the guy that gets in there and works on the blends with them. So I'm sure that was, part of the process. Because to me, I get a lot of that out of the Partagas as well. Like I get a lot of that old style Cuban-esque cigar.
And I feel like that's what they were going for with Partagas too, but more on like a more like a darker profile, right? Like more caramel, little more I guess like a sweet woodsy note.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah.
Definitely do. Yeah.
So I wonder if they're trying to like pay homage to like the old roots, like the way the old blends used to smoke.
I think that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was part of the thing. Yeah, I get to taste, these blends that they're working on every once in a while, and they come to, they really use the reps and our opinions on things, which is really nice. So
That's a nice perk.
yeah, it's a very nice perk, and but it's such a cool process, and these guys are so good at it, and it's I know to me it's got to be a struggle when you're coming in from our company and you're say Justin going down to these factories and they're going to present you with what they want to do. This is what we have in mind. These are the blends. Try these, and you got to have that. You got to be strong-willed enough sometimes to be like, no, this is not what I'm looking for. Let's tweak it. Let's do this. Let's do that. So it really, to me, it requires somebody that's got some, real intestinal fortitude to come in there and really fight for what we're trying to get done. And but
Meanwhile,
then also
you're trying to manage like the inventory tobaccos available and all that.
yeah, and you're also trying to be respectful to what they want to do as well, because it's a collaboration. So I think some of, for cigar nerds, again, I think some of these collaborations that people have done together are some of our favorite cigars, and that when companies work together and they take their two different strengths and weaknesses and kind of work with each other, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Just the dynamic of a collaboration, right? Like you might have one side that's like dead set on like this particular aspect of the blend, but then the other party might have a differing view. Like, how do you rectify that? You know?
Yeah. And Matt Booth talks about that a lot. He's the guy that started Room 101 Cigars and works with us now. And he talks about that a lot. Is he has his cigars made at all different factories around the world. And he said when he wants to blend something and knows something, he knows that a Connecticut, coming out of the William Ventura factory and AJ Fernandez is going to taste completely different. William Ventura has that background of working with Davidoff and having those people, that are involved there, and that's where their training came from. So they're going to have a different profile than AJ, who's going to come at it, generally with a big full body style and all that. So, he has in mind what he wants to do, and what he does is cater it to the factory that specializes in whatever he's looking for with that blend. And he's been able to create some really cool cigars by, just working with all these different factories instead of kind of pigeonholing himself with one.
That's what I love about these companies that outsource their production of a wide variety of factories, because just like you insinuated, each factory has their own philosophy or approach. So I feel like if a company can outsource to a wide variety of different manufacturers, at least there'll be a cigar in that portfolio for everyone, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's tougher when you're doing that because the quality control, the amount of resources you have to spend to be going to all these different factories. But I think it's the juice is worth the squeeze. Like I really do. I think it produces better results. And like with us, STG has 3 different factories: Nicaragua, Honduras, and Dominican. So we have 3 different factories, and so we're able to do that inside our company, which is kind of cool. When we're blending something like Partagas has always been made at the DR. We decided, hey, let's do this one in Nicaragua, and it came out to be a completely different cigar than if we had had it made there.
That was the Cortado you're talking about?
Yeah.
Now, is that sweetened or no?
It is not.
It just has like a natural sweet profile.
Yeah, it just has some natural sweetness to it, and I think that's been toned down a little bit in the blend because I think at first it had a little more.
Which I'm not complaining. We've had other brands not carried by you guys that are marketed not as, being sweetened artificially, like they apply like a sugar solution or honey. It just naturally has a sweetness to it. And I'm sure there's controversy with those kind of brands or cigars. So when I smoked that Cortado the first time, I felt that, this has like a nice sweetness to it. But I wasn't sure if it was natural or they actually applied it.
Yeah, it's from the tobacco.
It's very clean. Like it's a very tasty cigar.
Yeah, we make a small, I can't remember what the size it's called in the Cortado, but there's a very small Vitola that's like a 46, 48 ring gauge. That's like my morning coffee cigar. It just pairs so well with coffee in the morning. And now in Texas, it's 400 degrees, so it's nice that it's not a long smoke. So I can sit outside, work on my emails or whatever in the morning before I head out, and have a nice little cigar. So that's like always in my rotation. I always make sure I have plenty of those available.
Now you say you like pairing that with a coffee. What kind of coffee is your favorite? Drip or cappuccino or espresso?
I'm usually just a black coffee guy. I use a pour over.
Okay.
So I grind it, pour over.
Any favorite beans? What's your style?
So I've actually been buying my beans lately from a shop in Texas who sells his own coffee, Lone Star Tobacco, and he's a coffee nut, and he worked hard on a roasting technique that he really liked with a roaster. And I had his coffee at his shop, and I was like, holy crap, this is good coffee. And he was like, yeah, this is my coffee. I do it and I sell it. So I've been buying from him lately.
Nice.
But that's one cool thing about this business is like so many shops do dabble with coffee, sell some and have their own. So I've tried them from a lot of different shops, but I kind of get on something for a few months and then get on something else usually.
Yeah. No, that's very true about our business in the cigar shop world. Coffee is always implicated, either as a pairing or maybe the shop owner, like I think Leaf and Bean. Have you heard of that shop in Pittsburgh? Yeah. Like, doesn't he have a is it a separate coffee shop or is it all in one?
I'm not
it's a
sure.
cigar shop and coffee.
I haven't been up there. I went to Nicaragua with him, but I haven't been up there.
Okay. But the point being that like our industry is just synonymous with coffee.
Yeah,
which I think is cool.
What's his name? Jim.
Yeah, Island Jim.
Island Jim.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he does this thing in Nicaragua. So you go down there and there's always guys walking around playing guitar, like while you're eating outside or whatever, and they'll play songs and you can tip them or whatever. So he has this tradition that he will tip $20 if they will put the Island Jim sticker on their guitar. And when he comes back to Nicaragua, if he sees them and they still have the sticker on the guitar, they get an extra $20 every time he comes down. Oh, that's so smart. They'll always like seek him out. But yeah, he's been doing that for years. So if you're ever down in Nicaragua and you see an Island Jim sticker on the guitar, that's what that came from.
That would be an SLE?
Yeah.
So man, that's funny.
Actually, this was in Granada when I hung out with him down there. So yeah. So
they don't have too many factories in Granada, huh? I know that they had. It was like the major center, obviously, is SLE.
Sure. All I know in Granada is the Mombacho factory. Yeah. There may be more. That was a beautiful old factory, and that's such a cool city.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there. Yeah. It's very colonial, right? Mm-hmm. Looking in terms of the architecture.
Yeah, everything's the same yellow gold color, and it's this beautiful old colonial architecture. The city is super clean and laid out really nice. You walk everywhere. A lot of expats live there from like Canada and US, and so it's weird the array of food you can get down there. Like there's like a German restaurant we always went to, and like a really good Chinese restaurant. Like so it's a weird array of food down there, but it's it's beautiful. It's inexpensive. You're only a couple hours from the beach, like San Juan del Sur and all that down there. So it's a really cool place.
That's on the Pacific?
Yeah. Or I think I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. I feel it's on the Pacific side, not on the Caribbean.
Yeah. I think it is.
But yeah, that's a town I've always wanted to go to in Nicaragua.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. When was the last time you went down to Nicaragua?
It's been a while. It was probably
pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was probably 16 or 17.
Okay.
So yeah, and when I started in the business, I worked with a bunch of small companies as a rep, and so I got to do a lot of those little factory trips to the small companies, and that was a really cool part. But it was also just like a huge learning experience for me to see what goes into making a cigar. I mean, you know it, and you've seen your customers do it, and anytime anyone gets to actually go down to the factory and see the process of rolling cigars and treating the tobacco and everything that goes into it, your appreciation for cigars goes through the roof. And, as a rep, you always come back just fired up about how lucky you are to be in this business and what a cool, unique business it is.
Yeah.
I mean, cigar rolling hasn't changed a lot in, like 200 years. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really neat old school thing.
Yeah.
It's fun. And it's so cool that I'm just like a small part. You're a big part of it too, but we're all get to be a little piece in this puzzle to kind of increase this industry and treat it right with respect and make it bigger and better. So.
Yeah. When you're talking about all the good parts, not to put you on the spot, what don't you like about the industry? Because I have my complaints about.
Sure.
I guess some of that laissez-faire can be a hindrance with certain things,
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say, at the end of the day, it still is a business. We're all friendly. We all like each other. I hang out with reps. I hang out with my shop owners. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And I think sometimes that gets lost a little bit when you're dealing with certain customers, certain reps, whatever. At the end of the day, like, we're partners. We got to work together. Sometimes I'm going to need something from you. Sometimes you're going to need something from me, and we've got to help each other out. And, I guess my biggest complaint is people not always treating it like the business that it is and respecting that business part of it, because we got to have that to keep things moving forward in the right direction.
Yeah. That's such a valid notion. And that's something that, I felt we've maintained balances. I mean, we first got into this business because we were passionate about it, right?
Sure.
So we're trying to make a living off of our passion, but you don't want to necessarily intermingle the two to where if the business just keeps getting you down, like you almost start hating the industry
Sure.
and start, hating your passion. So that's definitely something that when people come to me and ask, oh, what does it take to open up a cigar shop? You can, if you go the route of the hobbyist shop, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. They get into it because they love this product.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to pay your rent, got to pay your bills. Like, don't forget that, you gotta make money on that to keep it going.
Yeah. And, I'm going to bring you cigars all the time. And there might be one you get that you're just like, this isn't for me. I don't care for it. A person running a business that would understand, hey, this cigar I know would sell in my shop, whether it's not something for me,
right?
And there are those hobby stores that are like, I'm not going to bring this in because it's not my thing,
yeah, because I don't like it,
right? And it's like, no, this is a business. If it's going to sell, if your customers want it, I feel like you guys do a great job with that. You have obviously a huge inventory of cigars here and a wide range, but
yeah, and there are a lot of cigars I don't particularly care for. It doesn't mean I hate that cigar or I'm going to make fun of whoever smokes it. Like, if I know that cigar is going to be a good fit for someone, I'm going to recommend it, even if I don't personally smoke it.
Sure. Yeah. And
so I guess as a businessman, you got to separate that notion of who are your favorite cigars versus what's going to sell. Right. And maybe try to carry a mixture of both.
Yeah. And and also as a business person, which I know you understand, the fact that sometimes I'm going to have to come to you and ask you, I need you to do this. I need help. Sometimes you're going to come to me and say, hey, we got this event coming up. We didn't know, whatever. Can you send me this? Can you do this for me? And if we can keep working together without taking advantage of each other, either one taking advantage of each other and keeping that business in the forefront, keep the friendship there. We can go hang out. We can go to dinner. We can go get a drink. But at the end of the day, we got to get our business done first. And, I think the cigar shop, the cigar industry is getting better about that. I think there has been some improvements in that. I think like this last 10 or 15 years of reps that have come in are bringing in that cigar passion so much. And it's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
And I think we got like some young crop of reps, and that's obviously my thing that I pay attention to. But I think we have some young reps that are just coming into the industry in the last couple of years that really excite me for like the future of this industry, that I think they'll do a great job and carry it on. Cause you always want to see that next group carrying on. I'm becoming a little bit of an old dog in the rep job. I mean, I've been doing it 10 years. There are ones that have done it a lot longer than me, but, I always want to see who's coming in, who's stepping up, and same with you with shops, what shops are coming in, who's stepping up and growing and taking it seriously.
Yeah. Which is why, like, I look at other industries, I'm just a fan of business in general, right? So if it's another sector or another industry, I want to learn from their best practices so that hopefully we can adopt, to our benefit. And, I think it's always good for any business to be, you hold on to the tradition and what works, but also be willing to expand and maybe experiment.
Yeah.
And just never settling, right? Which is why, like, we're doing this initiative like of a podcast.
Sure.
Or we have our own app that we've customized, and it's all just better to serve the end consumer in the end.
Absolutely. And I think that's why on the cigar business side of things, having big corporations like we have, having small boutique companies like we have, I think that mix is still so important, because these little small boutique companies are doing a lot of innovation.
And they have to, right?
Yeah.
Almost out of like
necessity, to stay alive. And so these innovations that they're doing trickle their way up to the big corporate companies. So it forces the big corporations to have to innovate as well and have to come and keep bringing it, not just be complacent. And then these small boutique companies are pushing the field forward. And I think it's really important to have that balance. And I think we do have a good balance with it. I think there's never been a better time to smoke cigars in the history of the world. Like, there are more really damn good cigars than there have ever been.
That's what we tell our customers every day. There really isn't a bad cigar in our humidor. You just got to you can almost throw a dart in there and get a good cigar.
Absolutely.
The only question you have to answer is what mood are you in terms of like maybe strength, right? That's maybe the number one, and budget too, but
or time,
strength. Yeah.
Like,
speaking of which, like, what's your favorite size?
Like just a little 646, just a petite Corona. is my favorite. I'm like the only rep that's not going to tell you Lancero probably.
Yeah.
Lanceros just are annoying to me because I'm generally smoking in the car when I'm driving on these long stretches, and like they don't always burn perfectly. So something a little bigger usually burns a little better, but I do love the flavor of it. I just generally stay below a 54, 52 ring gauge.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Lancero is just always like talked about, praised by insiders. But if you look at shops, like it's never really been a big seller.
No, people don't buy them. You know, a lot of people look at cigars, as you know, in retail as like a value proposition. How much cigar am I getting for this dollar amount? And I think I would encourage anyone that's like newer to it, or if you've been in it a long time, like smoke different sizes and see how it changes the flavor. Because this cigar right here is going to have 5 different sizes, and I guarantee you there's going to be some huge differences in the way it's expressed in the different sizes.
And that's true, because when someone comes in to ask us or tell us maybe they had a bad experience with a certain cigar, I'll ask them, what size did you smoke it in? Because it really can vary. Like I alluded to with that Alec Bradley.
Sure.
The double broadleaf. Like it smokes differently from those two sizes. One was like really phenomenal and the other was good.
Yeah.
So that can make a difference. It's the format and the dimensions.
Crazy. The Diesel Whiskey Row, the original one we came out with, if you've never smoked it in the Churchill, which I never smoked Churchills really. And somebody one day, one of my shops was like, try the Churchill. It's phenomenal. It smokes like whatever it is in that blend is just so well balanced in that Churchill. So yeah, I have a favorite size in many cigar lines that it's outside of what I normally smoke size wise.
Okay.
Because
it smokes.
Yeah,
better.
it just hits right sometimes. So you got to try things. I mean, when I started in cigars, I was a customer. I was 23, 24 years old. I always used events to try things. So, you know, they'd have a rep in once a month and they would run a buy 4, get 1, buy 10, get 3 or whatever. And I would get, 5 different cigars or 13 different cigars. And generally, like one of those would get added to my rotation. I would find 1 or 2 in there. And I would, I was on a budget, didn't have much money. I was right out of college. And that was my way of trying different stuff. And there's still stuff from those events I did, 15 years ago, whatever it was, that I still smoke today because I found it through a rep. And it gave me a lot of passion for what I was going in to do. And I always think about if I do an event and let's say 10 people show up and it's just a very small little event, if all 10 of those people pick up 1 cigar of mine to add to their rotation, means let's say they smoke it once a week. I just sold 2 boxes to that guy for the year. And if I can get 10 guys to add my cigar to their rotation 1 a week, which isn't asking a lot, that's 20 boxes we just sold as cigars. And, it's just about getting it at people's rotation. And that's kind of how I started doing it.
Yeah. Well, so are you the type of smoker that, I guess it's different for you since you're in the industry and you have access to just a wide variety of cigars. But I'm just thinking about customers who either just choose one same cigar day in, day out.
Yeah.
Versus those who, they might have a few favorites in their rotation, but they're also willing to try new ones. How do you address that?
Yeah.
I guess that's the hardest part, right? For any manufacturers, how do you break to that guy that is only that brand A, size B smoker,
Well, I mean, the easiest answer to that is we rely on you guys.
Yeah.
We rely on you guys to show, the store owners, the store clerks, like to show people, what's new. We inform you guys about it. Your job's to inform the customers about it. And that's why these partnerships are so huge, because if you got a shop that's not doing the work and it's just sitting there playing cards all day or whatever in the shop, that translation, that's getting lost in translation. The information we gave him is not making it to the customer. And so then you got to figure out different ways of getting it in there, whether it be programs that we run in stores that encourage people to try different things or however we do it. But it's hard because, there's so many cigar smokers that are, this is what I smoke every day.
I'm not going to change.
Yeah. Like personally, I'm trying everything new. It's so cool to me when I go into a shop and they go, have you tried this cigar? And it's not my cigar. And they're like, oh, this is fantastic. You need to try it. I'll buy one from them to support them. And I always wait till I go home on the weekend to smoke it, because I don't want to smoke it in a shop or, while I'm trying to talk and do business and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice. Those are the cigars I smoke at home by myself, sitting on the patio, where I could like really read about them while I'm smoking them. What's the story behind this thing? What's the blend behind it? What am I getting out of it? And that's kind of how I try new stuff.
Yeah. I like a lot of how a lot of new company or a lot of the cigar companies now will even have like these QR codes for like the consumer to follow up on. I know CAO, I've noticed they have the QR code on like the BX,
Sure.
is it the BX3?
BX3, yeah.
And I mean, I think that's just valuable, right? Because I feel like, and we don't always do a good job, but trying to disseminate that information, like the story of every cigar to the end consumer is sometimes, overwhelming or not. It just doesn't happen, right? From all the points of the supply chain. So any little information like that, I think, can help the end consumer.
I totally agree. I think the QR code thing is the future. And what it does too, it directs people to your website, your information. Then they start looking at other blends in there and want to try them. And I think it's great, but I like to read about every cigar when I'm smoking it. So if there was that QR code, that would be something I would definitely do.
Yeah.
And
I know Google, helps out today too, but if you just had that QR code to make it, make it easier for the smoker to, get that information.
No, I think it's great. Yeah. I think it is the wave of the future with it. And, any way to get people more information, that just gets them more invested in cigars in general when they're reading about it and learning the process and the story. I think it's good for everyone. Now,
speaking of that, with I guess just the excitement, of end consumers for cigars now, have you seen like what's the state of sales? I guess if you have any insight, like since post COVID,
Sure.
more people going back into the office. Have we seen a drop off? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know all the numbers. All I can tell you is kind of what I feel anecdotally. Yeah, it's so 2019 last year we had in the cigar business pre-COVID. COVID was an explosion in the industry. People had time. They were sitting at home. They were hanging out with friends more, which is, I know, funny during COVID, but, they're spending a lot more time doing like relaxing activities and enjoying themselves. And I think it was a good reset for a lot of us. But I think what I feel is that sales are above that 2019 number. They feel better than it did in 2019, maybe a little down from like the peak COVID years.
Okay.
But I think when you're comparing as a shop or as a manufacturer or whatever, you got to go back to that 2019 number and look at that because it was just such a blip on the radar. But I think we did pick up a lot of new cigar smokers during it. And I think people, were able to try it for the first time a lot of times with friends and sit down on the porch with them. And so I think we did pick up a lot of new ones, and we got to keep that momentum going, as hard as we can.
And I'm seeing like the new media, i.e. podcasts.
Sure.
Like more of them are talking about cigars. Thinking about Joe Rogan. I saw another one with, I think, Robert Kelly and Tom Segura.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about their favorite cigars.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool, being in the industry that now there's, cigars are trickling more into the mainstream consciousness.
It is. And I think comedians and cigars go together. I mean, I go to a lot of stand-up comedy in Austin when I'm out there working.
Oh, man.
And I
you're
love
right there.
it. Yeah, I was just able to go to the Mothership, the Rogan's new club.
How is that?
It is like, to me, the perfect comedy club. Like everything's set up perfectly. It's gorgeous. It's clean. It's nice. It has a great feel to it. Like I went to the small room. So there's 2 different rooms. And so I was in the smaller room, and it's tight. everybody's packed in there, but that's what they want. And it's got a great energy to it. I mean, I was from me to you to Ron White on stage, and for $35.
Oh man.
And you can go, in Austin, you can go see 3 or 4 shows a night easily. You can just
they have that many clubs there?
That many
like
clubs. And it's, a lot of bars that do comedy at night. There's so many like open micers that are fantastic. There's a kid, Hans Kim, that when I started 2.5 years ago, I used to go see him do open mics for, 6 people. And I fell in love with him. I was like, man, he's great. He's going to go places. He's now opening for Rogan, doing arena shows with 30, 40,000 people.
Wow.
But that's what I was saying with comedians. They love cigars. Every time I go see shows, I bring cigars. They all want to smoke cigars with me. They want to ask me all these questions about it.
That's cool.
And the comedians are running this new media, podcast media. It's so many comedians, and they're into cigars. And so I think it's been really good for it. I know Nick Melillo, I think, did a cigar for Rogan that he smokes on the podcast. And so I was able to give Rogan some diesels actually. So
Nice.
yeah, I was hoping to squeeze one on the podcast,
Yeah.
but no, it's really cool. I think it is getting out there more in the national frame. I mean, we obviously live in a very anti-tobacco world, so we have to fight that all the time. But I wish people could understand the like relaxation and how good it is for you to sit down for a couple hours and take some time to yourself at the end of a hard work day or whatever. It really, there's some great benefit.
Well, did you ever see that? I think it was like a short video. I think it's gone viral of Steve Harvey. He's smoking his cigar, and someone's asking him like, "How do you do that?" And he's like, he's laying his case pretty well, right? Like he he works hard. He doesn't have any other vices,
right?
So like this product here, you know, it helps like almost bring some meditation, some calmness to an otherwise like hectic world that we all live in, you know?
It absolutely does. Robert Holt told me this story, the guy that started Southern Draw. He said he was down in Miami and Cuban guy was sitting at a shop, hands him a cigar. He's like, "This is a family cigar of mine, you know, that my family does." And he goes, "Oh, thank you." And he puts it in his little travel case. And the guy's like, "Why aren't you going to smoke it?" He goes, "Oh, I want to save it for like a special occasion." He's like, "That's what's wrong with you Americans. You always want to save things for us. This is a special occasion.
Yeah.
You're sitting here in Miami. It's beautiful. Have the cigar." And the guy told him, he said, "Every day I have 2 cigars." He said, "Before work, you know, when I had kids and a family and all that, and it was hectic in the morning, everybody's getting ready, all that, I needed to have that cigar to get my frame of mind right to go to work. Because I would sit there, contemplate, what do I have today? What's going on? And get in a work mindset." And then he said, every day after work, stop by a cigar shop, have a cigar. That allows me to be a better dad, better husband when I get home to my family, because I go from work mode to home mode. And so that's like his 2 mode changes he does every day through a cigar. And I thought it was just a really cool story. And I think about that a lot, you know. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah. And I think there are more people making the distinction that this is not just like a cigarette or vape. And it's weird to say this, but like I don't feel like I need a smoke. I don't have this physical addiction.
Sure.
It's just whenever I'm ready to relax and actually appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell people it's weird. Like I've used cigar smoking as almost doing drugs without the druggy, like the bad druggy effects, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you're getting the, you know, a lot of professionals use it that maybe can't drink or use other, you know, other substances because of their work. Like I think about airplane pilots. I think they're prohibited from even drinking a drop of alcohol like 24 hours before a flight.
Yeah. They have
so a lot of them tend to smoke cigars, right?
Yeah.
So it helps kind of keep them in a good frame of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great. And the other thing about the cigar industry that's so wonderful, like you have a wonderful new lounge here that you guys have built, and it's such a great place to relax. It's just the people you meet through it, and sitting there in a cigar lounge, there's no kings in that cigar lounge. It's, you know, there's people that make $200,000 a year and kids that make $20,000 a year sitting in the same room, learning from each other, talking to each other. And I think it's so important. It was so important in like my development, becoming a man, going from college to just hanging out in a cigar shop with a bunch of dudes that were 60, 65 years old, had already kind of done their career and all that, and the advice they could give me, and guys that I still call to this day for advice, and guys that I met in a cigar shop, and the openness of it, and the ability to sit down and talk about sometimes controversial subjects and not get angry with each other, and just be able to talk things out. And people from all different walks of life, Black people, white people, Hispanics, you know, sitting in a room together. And, you know, they might live in separate places. They might have separate jobs where they would never run into each other. But this is a place where people can sit together and really learn from each other. And I think it's so important.
Yeah. That's the beauty of tobacco,
Yeah.
of pure tobacco.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, a bar, I guess, has some of those similar things. But, you know.
But with alcohol, that changes that dynamic.
It does
right?
change it,
I mean, tempers can flare easily.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't, like, I rarely, you know, see fights occurring in cigar lounges, you know?
I've seen one
in
Mississippi.
It's not to say that. You
Holy
know,
crap!
perfect.
A guy got thrown across a room. It was crazy. Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. It was like one of my first cigar events ever. I was like, "What am I doing?"
Oh, no.
But luckily, I've seen no more since then. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you find that that part of it tough, like regulating a lounge, when it comes to, you know, every shop I've ever been to has had one or two customers that were really, that people didn't like maybe, or that kind of drove customers away. Maybe a guy didn't want to come in because this guy was there. Has that been tough to regulate over the years of like,
Yeah, we've
managing personalities?
we've had to deal with that. You know, like one troublesome guy that just creates a poisonous atmosphere. I mean, we go out of our way to address it, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want one person to upset the many.
Yeah.
And usually we'll be respectful about it. Like, hey, you know, can you tone it down with this or that? But yeah, it really hasn't come up too often over our years. But this new concept in our Baton Rouge store, it's a private lounge now.
Sure.
So we're trying that out. And that's meant to really attract like the business class or people who are really cigar centric.
Absolutely.
So as a result, you get, I feel like, higher quality, like just good mindsets. You know?
And with this ridiculous heat wave that we're having.
Yeah. We're signing up more.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like I need somewhere to smoke.
So we're trying to offer that value, right? Like a lot of people have complained about it, saying, oh, well, we used to have a free lounge, which, yeah, we did, and it was smaller.
Yeah.
But now that we're in a larger space, like, we need to find a way to monetize because it costs us rent.
Exactly.
Right. So any membership will help, you know, offset the expenses, which allow us to remain in business and continue to sell cigars. So, you know, it's still a concept we're working on, but I think we're happy with it. I mean, we're only going to have 53 memberships. We're already 40% sold, which without really advertising.
Right.
So we're pretty happy with how it's going.
Yeah. I mean, people need that. I mean, I always hate, like where I live, I don't have a lounge anywhere near my house. It's 45 minutes from one. But I do miss that. I miss having kind of home shop. Now I kind of have my home shops all around my territory now that I get to hang out at and enjoy. But it is special having that home shop. You walk in, you know, your guys there, you get to see friends, see how everybody's doing. And, yeah, it's a really special thing to me.
I think Jorge does it pretty well at Stogie's in Houston, where, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never been to his place, but he has a free public lounge, right?
Yeah.
It's smaller, but then he has his private lounge with more amenities. There's more benefits.
Sure.
I like that model.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's top of the line, 24/7 access in the private lounge, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they have a great big public area, big private area, and you know, I'm sure you get other amenities as far as discounts or whatever in that private membership. But yeah, it's a very successful shop that does really well. And speaking of Lanceros, they sell more Lanceros than anyone I've ever seen.
The H-Town. Shout out to Jorge.
If you make a Lancero, they will buy it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love him.
They killed it with that Partagas de Bronce that we were talking about earlier. Made it Titan de Bronze because it was a small ring gauge and just flew through them.
Are those sold out, by the way?
I believe so. If not, they're close. We've sold through a lot of them. Yeah, yeah. So I think I think we have some left.
Yeah, we have a few left, but not too much.
We always reserve a few boxes, you know, for special events down the road and that kind of stuff. Of anything, a lot of our limited editions, I've like hit myself because I haven't saved any for myself. So I'll try to buy one at stores every once in a while and make a box up over a month or so. And like that's the cigar you're talking about, saving it and seeing how it smokes down the road. I would love to smoke that cigar, you know, once a year for the next 10 years and just kind of see how it changes.
Well, that's what I usually do when I buy, especially a cigar that I know is special. I'll try to buy multiple pieces, right?
Absolutely.
If not a box, at least 2, 3, one so I can smoke right away.
Yep.
And then another one I can smoke down the road, you know?
Yeah, I enjoy that as well. I've always had this idea to get the top 25 cigars in Cigar Aficionado and just maybe do the top 10 or whatever and just buy, you know, 10 of each. And you throw it in the humidor and you do that once a year, taste testing with all 10, see how they change over time. And I haven't done it yet, but I always thought it was a cool idea. I'm going to try to do in the next year or two.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I love trying other people's stuff. I think so many people are just making great cigars right now, and it's a great time. And I have obviously a great selection of cigars in our portfolio that I get to try. So they just keep producing really cool stuff.
And this diesel has been smoking very just nice consistently. It's not getting harsh.
Yeah.
Even though it has a darker wrapper.
Yeah.
It's still very clean.
And I feel like it picks up flavor halfway through. It even kind of intensifies a little bit with the depth of flavor to it. But I thought it was a home run immediately. Justin knows if I don't like it, I'll call and tell him what the hell is up with this cigar, and then he'll defend himself. But I called him with this one, and I was like, "Yep, killed it." And he did that Boxer Grill series earlier with Diesel, and that was a limited edition, and that was another one. I just called him immediately and was like, "The presentation, the cigar, everything, you nailed it." So. We're lucky to have him. We're lucky to have all the people we have at the factories and everything that are able to come up with all these ideas and do these cool things. And our marketing team, like we just got a cool team.
Yeah. Well, I think all our viewers and especially clients who shop with us can expect some nice cigars coming very soon.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Over the next 3 months, we got a lot of cool stuff coming. So, hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I think it's going to be at the price point that fits most people's budget, and and that's what we're trying to do. We want everybody to be able to enjoy this. It's not a elite group, it's for everyone.
Yeah, it's affordable.
Yeah,
still attainable. So, anything else you want to talk about before we sign off?
No, man, I appreciate you having me. It's a beautiful studio here. This is really cool, and I look forward to doing it again. Maybe if I get Justin on the road down here with me, we'll stop by and do a little podcast with you. That'd be
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, he's always invited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, man.
All right,
Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and entertaining. If you enjoyed this episode and want to discover more episodes, check us out at thelifepuro.com or any other major streaming platform. If you're interested about the cigars we smoked, you can visit us at shop.habanaport.com. Until the next cigar. Thank you.